Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. That was not expected. That was not forecast. It's been doing that for 2.5 hours. Not in the forecast. You know what I'd like some of those weather people to do? Actually turn round and open the window and look outside and then give us a weather forecast about what's actually happening. It sounds like rain, but it's not. It's rain with lumps in. Probably a technical name for that. Wintry showers, I think they call it. But I went out to sort the ice out in the bird bath so that they had something to drink. And it wasn't actually frozen solid. There was a little bit of water in the bottom, so unlike yesterday morning where it was absolutely solid. So I presume we didn't have quite such a cold night last night, or it's changing or something. Anyway, we've got sort of wintry showers. So if it was snow, it wouldn't make any noise. So unless you looked outside, you wouldn't know it was happening. But the practicalities of opening the door, setting up the tripod, getting something ready over there, getting myself a coffee. The temperature in the lounge has already dropped nearly 2 degrees with cold air rushing in from here in exchange for the warm air coming out. So until this cold weather breaks, this place is not going to get the heat out of the lounge. It's just going to stay on the thermostat. And if that means the day and the night temperature stay the same for the next however many days, so be it. I'm not sitting in there shivering. I left the heating on all night last night, and when I came downstairs this lounge was still only at 21 degrees. That's with the curtains drawn, the blinds closed. This house just will not get properly warm. Okay, it's exceptionally cold. They're expecting minus 12 degrees centigrade in places overnight tonight. Not here. It's cold, but not that cold. Right, yesterday we went off to the Orchid Society's Christmas lunch, and all I can say about that was it went far better probably than anybody expected. We did it ourselves this year. Well, the last few years we've been going to hotels where you get everything done for you. You just pay the price and sit down and get on with it. In the last couple of years it hasn't actually been that good. And last year a lot of people said that just wasn't good value for money, that wasn't very good at all. So we decided to do it ourselves, and the catering manager is a member of a local church. So we decided to use their premises. They've got a full-blown kitchen and everything, and everything was bought in, and they cracked on with it in the morning, got everything ready. And it went well. It really did went well. And from the treasurer's point of view, we grossly overcharged everybody, and we'll probably have to do a refund for everybody. It was all estimated. You know, the catering manager estimated roughly what it was probably going to cost, including donation to the church for the use of the premises, heating, lighting, all the ovens and hobs and everything in the kitchen, hot water and everything. And some helpers, you know, to help in the kitchen. So it was all estimated, and a bit OTT with the estimate, quite honestly, quite a long way out. But for the better, you know, so we'll sort something out there. But yeah, that was good. It was a good day out. I chose to go on A roads rather than the motorway. It's 5 miles shorter, and I thought, I'm heading off late morning. There will have been traffic on these roads all morning, so there's not going to be any ice or anything dark like that. It wasn't that cold that, you know, roads can refreeze with traffic actually on them. That's got to be pretty cold to do that. And wet. Yeah, so a good day, very good day all round. And I think everybody will have been very pleased with that. So that was that. The bonsai channel, I got past my 1,000 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, and I've had the watch hours for ages. I was just dying to get that monetized. So once I reached the requirements, I applied, and you just get a box on YouTube Studio saying in progress, and it can take up to a month apparently. I spotted another channel. I don't know what I was looking for. I was searching for something, and this came up. and it's a trick basically, and I found it again on another channel, so I thought, well, if 2 people have said this is worth trying, it's worth trying. And all it is that when you've applied, you just sit in a massive queue, you know, and eventually, because it needs real people, it's not an algorithm this time, needs somebody to look at your channel, the sort of things you do. Have you had any strikes or anything like that? You know, so it needs people to look into it, so it takes ages, obviously. Well, they don't want to pay wages, do they? I mean, out of the billions of profits that they make, they don't want to pay wages. Oh, perish the thought. Yeah, so I thought, well, I've applied now, I'll just sit in the queue. And then this guy said there's a trick that doesn't always work, but it works a lot more often than it doesn't work. It's got to be worth a try because it costs you nothing. And all it is that on the monetization page, there's a send feedback. So you click on send feedback and you send them a polite note saying, I've qualified for monetization and applied, and my case is shown as in progress. I wondered how it's progressing. Are there any hold-ups? Is there anything else you need from me? Thank you in advance. And it's a prod. You know, the cattle prod. Yeah, but you give them a prod. And the guy said, you normally get monetized within 24 to 48 hours after your feedback arrives. And I did. So the bonsai channel is now monetized. I mean, the adverts have been playing on the channel for ages, but while they're playing and I'm not monetized, YouTube just take all the revenue. Irrespective of the fact, up until relatively recently, if you weren't monetized, there were no ads on your channel. But YouTube decided, no, we can put ads on there and keep it all for ourselves. But don't pay any wages, will you? Whatever you do. Don't have real people around. Anyway, so the bonsai channel is fully up and running now. Not that there's going to be many videos, it's winter time. There's not much to do in the bonsai world in the middle of winter, apart from perhaps ordering in some stocks. And talking of ordering in some stocks, I'll be 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just made it without knocking the tripod over. This came from Lynn yesterday, and it's small bark. Something that I've got little or none of, basically, and she has oodles of it, some of which I believe in some shape or form was got by mistake. And that is part and parcel of my changing my media. Now this is throughout the grow room. Everything in a pot is going to be looked at as plants come round for time for repotting, either because it is their time and there's new roots growing type thing, or we've got to some better weather without these, you know, cold days, something like that. And my idea is to get rid of all pots that have got moss or coconut husk in are going to get their media changed to pure bark, with nothing else in it. I don't mind a bit of moss around the top of a pot if there's some, like, roots, you know, the climbing oncidium types where they start rising up and the roots don't get down in the media. Bit of moss to help those maybe, but not in the pot. And the sole purpose of doing that, it will dry a lot faster, which, like now, will be a real bonus. The downside, when we do get some better weather, stuff will dry a lot quicker. But it's like I've said, when you analyse the cloud forests in true technical sense, everything's wet. There's always mist and fog and all that sort of stuff, and rain and drizzle, and everything's all wet. But it's wet with fresh, clean water, and that's something that's not appreciated by a lot. You know, oh, my plant needs to stay moist all the time, and I've watered it and it's still wet 3 weeks later. Well, what state's that water in? That's like stagnant water, isn't it? It's not fresh water anymore. It's not the sort of fresh water that the plant would experience in the wild. So my idea is to remove the ability for pots to store water long term, which means I do more work. But what else am I doing? You know, I'm retired. Okay, I've got some trees to look after next year, but yeah, what else have I got to do? Why not give the orchids a much better chance in life? So yeah, we'll get rid of all the moisture retentive stuff, but there's obviously plants that are not going to put up with being in larger bark that's dry in a day or maybe 2 days. So I've got a lot of small bark to fill in the gaps. So it will hold a bit more water a bit longer, but not stay wet because it's fresh bark which doesn't hold much water. And then it will be up to me to replace the media on a nice regular basis. Total change of environment here. If I do nothing, I'm going to lose more plants, and I have lost, you know, there are quite a few. A lot of them sneak out without you knowing. But yeah, I've lost quite a few plants this year. Now, some of that was expected as a consequence of moving house and changing and totally changing an environment. You know, that's especially for plants that have been used to their other environment for some considerable time, and then they suddenly get a dramatic change. So I was expecting some. So that's that. So new goodies. Right, so the bug saga. Everything in here has been sprayed twice now with systemic, with the appropriate gap in between. And there are still some bugs around. So I'm sort of coming to the conclusion now that given the access to systemics that I've got in this country, which is better than some, I do have some choices. I can get a choice of 2 or 3, but that's not many. And none of them are doing the job effectively and efficiently, like everything's dead, because it isn't. So we're moving on to this. I'll swing the camera around because we've got an unboxing to do. This arrived via my normal rubbish courier, who luckily I was watching my email and it said your parcel has been delivered, and I thought, well, you haven't bloody delivered it to me, excuse my French. So I went out and had a look, and there it was on the pavement outside the gates. Nobody'd rung the buzzer or anything, just dumped and run, you know. And I mean, they get paid naffle and they get a ridiculous workload, so I have sympathies, but it's still supposed to do the job properly. Anyway, so it hadn't been stolen by anybody thinking, oh, there's a parcel there, nobody looking, I'll have that. You know, because that's what can happen. Anyway, that courier is just rubbish, and unfortunately it's the cheapest. Well, you get what you pay for, they say. In that case that's probably true. I was hoping that would come out that end, but I don't think it will. No, it's going to have to go that way. Which means I'll open it upside down so I don't have to rip my label off. So this is joining the battle of bug killing. It has provisos. In my current environment, I can't use this, so I've got to make some changes to allow this to work. Now Lynn already has one of these, which I didn't know. She said I could have borrowed hers to see if it works. But basically I got the information from Jeff, which is 53 degrees north, or some tropical plants at 53 degrees north or something or other. And he's tried it and it works for him. There are provisos. Now Lynn has written to the manufacturers, not the person who sold it, the actual manufacturers, to try and get an answer to a couple of questions, one of which is mine. Now in all the instructions here, it only ever mentions using it at night. I'd like to know why. First off, why? You know, does daylight muck it up? Well, obviously not. So the only thing I can think of is that without specifically saying, they want it to be used when people aren't around, if you see what I mean. That's a logical reason for doing something at night, but they should say if it is in any shape or form harmful to people and you shouldn't enter the room, it should flipping well say so. So we've got that question outstanding. And also, when Lynn used it, she got a residue over all of her plants and swore she'd never use it again. But we think we found out why. When you use this, you're supposed to switch all your fans off and have totally still air. And then you don't get a residue because it vaporizes and it's just a vapor floating around that sort of disperses itself through the whole place. So it only needs to be on for a couple of hours, and then you repeat it every so often until your problem goes away, if ever that happens. So we've got a couple of questions outstanding. But my problem is, how do I run it when there's no fans on the grounds that I can't turn the heater off at night, can I? Not in this weather. Yeah, you think it through. I have to have my heater on, which is a fan. And in my case, it's also hooked up to a flipping great circulating fan. So I can't do it at night, which means I'd have to do it during the day. Back to the original question, why does it always say do it at night? And if I do it during the day, I can keep my eye on it, and make sure the cats don't come out here, and hopefully, well, after a week or so, this cold weather might have dispersed a bit, and I can open the window and the door after it's been used, you know, and air the place out a bit. So anyway, a few outstanding questions, but the other thing is, it says it needs to be at least a metre away from whatever's above it, whatever you're hanging it from. It needs to hang, it can't go on the ground, it needs to hang. Now that'll be a little bit of a problem for me because at the moment I can't see anywhere to hang it from. That can be worked out, that's not a problem. I could basically just put a wire across with two of these metal hooks and just put a wire across and dangle it in the middle of the room. You know, I can do that, okay. Something can be fixed up, that won't be a big deal. But anyway, so what have we got? What's in the box then? Enough of the rabbit, let's have a look at the goods. And there's nothing, honestly, there's not much to look at. Right, for those of you who haven't worked it out, it is a sulphur hot box. You get a little tin, like a billy can, isn't it? It's like you have on a campfire with your coffee in. It's got a hot plate in there, which that sits on, and then you add sulphur, stinky stuff, into there, up to the line, switch it on, and with a thermostatic control, it gets that hot plate up to a temperature where that sulphur vaporizes, slowly vaporizes into the atmosphere in which it's in. And it's plenty big enough to do this size. Now, another problem I have, although if I've got to turn all the fans off, it's not a problem. But at the moment, the power in this place comes from in the lounge via the door. So the door can't be shut fully because the cable's in the way. Well, if all the fans have got to be off while this is running, so I just shot myself in the foot, haven't I? I was thinking I could remove the cable and shut the door properly. Well, we're going to plug it in then. I'll sort something out. Anyway, so it's a very simplistic thing, and quite honestly, it's a fair bit of money for what it is, which isn't much really. But anyway, that's it. It's shiny new, and obviously when I come to use it, I'll film it. This has got lugs on the inside to make sure the little billy can bit goes exactly in the right place and sits flat on the hot plate. So a simplistic gadget that hopefully will remove bugs from this place completely, once and for all. That's the theory. You know what theories are, don't you? Anyway, as I said, I'm certainly not in a rush to use it, not this time of year. But it's yes, hang the hot box at least 1 metre below the ceiling to ensure tunnel effect. Not quite sure what they mean by that, but I've got a feeling that somewhere along the line these instructions have been translated from something other than English. I don't know though. It's an English produced product. Still, we shall see. As I said, I'm not in a rush to use it. I'm quite happy to wait for Lynn to get her answers from the manufacturer, if she ever does. I mean, they can just ignore her. They don't have to answer, do they? They should, but, you know, and they might also take their time as well. But I presume it was an email inquiry, so, you know, obviously we'll get an answer back quite quickly. Right, there we go. So that was what was in the box. And when I went in to pick up the bath, I had a quick look at the thermometer in there. It's already dropped down to 18 in the lounge. It's probably still 20, 21 in the kitchen because that works separately. But it's chilling down in there, and it's warming up in here unnecessarily. You know, plants are pretty dry at the moment. I'm not worried about them not getting a boost in daytime temperature. I'm more interested in me not getting cold in there. So I think we'll leave it at that for today. No orchids or anything today, but there isn't really much going on. Things to come. We've only got one more 2022 project orchid to do, orchid number 9, and then that's that project finished. And I will probably do it at the end of that video where I sum up the whole project and how I think it's gone, the sort of views I'm getting. Is it more popular than the way I did it last year? I can have a chat about all that sort of thing. I think personally it's actually gone better this year than it has done over the previous years. That doesn't mean to say it will get repeated exactly as it is next year. There will be something next year, but as yet I haven't decided. So that's that. We've still got the one shelf rack at a time. I'm gradually getting through the plant, slowly but surely. I'm getting to the point now where I can't remember what I've done. So I've got to go back into the playlist and have a quick look at the videos to see which shelves I've already done, so that I don't do the same one twice before I finish. I mean, if it takes 2 or 3 months to get round all of the shelves, yes, I can go back and repeat, because those plants should have moved on in that time, but not yet, not yet. So, yeah, leave it at that for now. Using the sprayer to water the pots, I mean the mounts, yeah, that's fine. To water the pots is working in some instances and not in others. Some plants are getting they're looking dry. They're starting to shrivel a little bit. So when I go around tomorrow, I think what I'll do tomorrow is actually pick up the pots. I'll go back to that. It hasn't been done for a while, so that I can look at what's going on. I mean, a classic example is my Zygo over here. I mean, the spike isn't getting any heavier, but the plant is drooping. And the bulb that's got the spike on is starting to look a bit shriveled. So that pot's not getting enough hydration for that plant in that media. Whereas others, I'm sure when I pick them up tomorrow, they're still going to be quite wet, where they've had a trickle from the sprayer over a period of time, but haven't used it yet because they've either not got good roots or they're just not growing. So we'll perhaps do a proper watering tomorrow. Quickly, because it's cold. Right, so there we go. As I said, this is totally unexpected, and quite honestly, let's have a look out. There's no lumpy bits in this rain now. This is actual rain, totally unforecast, and it's now been going on probably 3 hours now, because I've been waffling for half an hour, and all the frost has gone. It's washed all the white off of the leaves and off of the roofs. And the shed roof's gone back to black. So, yeah, strange goings on. But the frost has hit some of the plants quite hard, I can see that. Good job that camellia's not in flower, because it would have whacked the blooms. But there's some plants where the leaves have just drooped. Now these are deciduous plants in the main that hadn't dropped their leaves yet, because they hadn't had any weather suitable, adverse weather to force them to drop their leaves, but some have. The fuchsia out there, you know, the hardy fuchsias, they've dumped their leaves now. They've all shriveled and started to go a dark colour. They'll drop. So, yeah. But it has been a cold spell and it is still going on. It sounds like another week of it. Perhaps not quite as cold as yesterday and Friday, but nonetheless cold. We've got a cold stream coming down from above us, so that's where the Arctic lives, where all the ice and snow is, and the airflow's coming straight down across us, so it's cold. All the orangey coloured bits are hovering over about halfway up Europe, down there. And until that jet stream twists round and that bit comes up again, we're not going to get warm weather. We're going to constantly get cold weather. But whether we get any real snow down here remains to be seen. I doubt it very much. So there we go. Good day out yesterday. I had nothing to go out for now, apart from taking the bags of green stuff round to the recycling centre. But again, if it's freezing cold out there, I'm not doing it. It can wait. You know, the bags are in the carport now in the dry, so they're not getting all wet and horrible to go in the car. So that'll just wait until we get a nice, reasonable day, and I'm not doing anything else, which I'm probably not. And you know, I can load the car up, put the seats down, load the car up, see how much I can get in there. I've got a feeling it will take 2 loads, and get rid of everything I've done so far. And that gets everything out of the way so that I can then put the coat of stain on my other bonsai unit, which I can't do in this sort of weather. It's too cold, it won't dry properly. So again, I've got to wait for better weather. Unless I can work out a way of being able to do that staining indoors, definitely not getting any on anything, because that's the worry. Wherever I do it, you know, if I drop anything or spill anything or it splashes, it'll go somewhere that it's just going to cause a problem for me. So doing it outside is probably the best bet, but not in this weather. So there we go, and big thank you for everybody from this channel that went across and subscribed to the bonsai channel to get that up and running. Now I know a lot of you did that purely because you were asked, even though you had no interest in the bonsai side of my life at all, but you did it, and thank you. As I said, I didn't mind if you subscribed and never went back again. It was just to get those numbers up, to get that monetization. And it's pennies in the pot. It's a few more pennies in the pot. At the moment, that channel will be earning next to nothing, because I don't put that many videos up, and the views are a quarter to a third of what they are on this channel, which relative to the number of subscribers is actually quite high. If you think I've got, whatever it is, about 13.5 subscribers here, and my videos average 800 to 1,000 views. Some go higher than that, some don't make it. Some stay down in the 400 or 500s. And over on the bonsai channel I get between 200 and 400, depending on the video content. Well, given that it's only got just over 1,000 subscribers, it's not bad, is it? But the viewing audience is totally different. Over half of the audience on the bonsai channel is from the UK, whereas a very small percentage of the Orchid channel is from the UK. It's mainly from the States. It's a different world, the bonsai channel. It's a different world altogether. So anyway, it's up and running. And I do notice that I get quite a few views on older bonsai videos. Well, all of those, you know, the whole lot are monetized. There's a switch you can throw that just basically says, do the lot, all in one go. And I don't have to do anything, I just throw the switch basically. So obviously I did that. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully that channel will pick up better next year when I start doing a lot more work on the trees, because there is a lot to do next year. I've got a lot to repot, trimming to do. Some of the trees I've got aren't even in a bonsai pot yet, so they've got to be potted up for the first time. So there's quite a bit of work to do on the channel, and I think the channel will grow much quicker and better once those sort of videos start getting posted. So anyway, thanks a lot for all those who helped get that up and running. Hitting the ground running, I think it was called. And you could say I took advantage of people on this channel. Well, nobody twisted your arm to go and do it. I asked nicely, and those that did, thanks a bunch. It's a great help. And thanks for all those who support this channel. You know, you're not forgotten. And this channel's not going downhill because I've got a second one. Please do not worry. We're getting little inklings of people, you won't be doing as many orchids. Yes, I will. The orchid channel still comes first. This is my main hobby. And it is a daily hobby. Whereas the trees outside are not a daily hobby. Although they will certainly become more frequent next year. Anyway, enough waffle, as we're not looking at orchids today. And again, all the thank yous. Thanks for subscribing to this channel. If you're not, click the old switch. It all helps keep things running, keep things going. The old thumbs up and things like that. And thanks to the external supporters, as I call them. Quite a few people have done the buy me a coffee recently. That is, you know, it's a one-off, like a, you know, cheers for the video, let's buy you a coffee. That's what that's for. There's been quite a few of those recently. That's gratefully received and well appreciated. And the patrons that are hanging in there too. And it looks like some people have been buying some of the merchandise. Again, that's good. It's another way of supporting the channel. At least you get something. You know, you get something back for it. Although the prices have gone up recently. They're not such good value as they once were. But then everything's gone up. You know, all the transport, all the materials, everything like that, you know, put those goods together, it's all gone up, hasn't it? It's just the way of the world at the moment. Where all the extra money comes to pay for it, who knows? Yes, we're supposed to be, I think, the 5th or 6th wealthiest economy in the world. Well, who's got all the money then? Because I haven't. Little bitty few have got nearly all of it, and the rest of us have to share what's left. And again, that's the way of most worlds. That's the way it is. See you next time. The last thing we want to do is politics. And for all you footy fans in the UK, sympathies for last night. I did actually watch the match and didn't fall asleep. When football is at this level, World Cup sort of level, I will dip in and watch a bit. But under normal circumstances, I'm not interested in football at all. All the normal club stuff, don't care. There are a load of ballet dancers pirouetting every time somebody comes within 3 feet of them. And then they look round out of one eye, and if the ref's got his hand up like that, they jump up, you know, yay! Yeah, well, you weren't flipping out at all, were you? Ballet dancers. That was a rugby player, they'd go, ah, broken my shoulder. I'll walk it off, don't worry. Different mentality. But anyway, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Bye for now. And the bit on the end. Now that's snow. It's still very wet snow because where it's been raining for 2 or 3 hours, I doubt if it's going to settle. But that's snow, and I can hear it, so it's still got wet stuff in amongst it. You know, if it was just fluffy light snow, it would make no sound. Quite honestly, that is a very special thing when you wake up in the morning and there's a covering of snow and it's still snowing and you walk outside. The silence, what's the expression? The silence is deafening. Just little puddy sort of sounds as the snowflakes hit the existing snow. Anyway, I can't say that we haven't had any snow, because that is some. I don't think it's going to last, and I don't think it's going to settle, and I'm not going to be buried in 3 foot of snow when I wake up tomorrow morning. But we've got snow on the south coast in the UK. Yay! I nearly want to go out and run around in it because it's so rare. But it's settling on the shed roof. So we might. It'll be what they call a dusting, and I suspect before it actually starts to coat everything white, it'll stop and then it'll melt because of the rain that we've already had. Anyway, snow, bit on the end.